Africanization of the original people of the Americas. First of all, there's a continent, a place called Africa, and there's a continent, a place called America. By calling yourself an African American, you're calling yourself a misnomer. There's no such thing or place or nation as an African American or African America. This is a misnomer, an inaccurate term for the original peoples of the Americas, right? How do I know this? Simple. By me knowing about words and word context, word origins, etymology. I know back in the 1800s that when people said the word African American in reference to the original people of the Americas, they're referring to a descriptive, meaning those people look kind of like those people we saw in Africa. The person or people speaking, of course, would be a pale Eurasian. Oh, those African Americans. They got the original people of the Americas to start calling themselves African Americans or Afro or Africo-Americans because it was a descriptive, just like the term Moor is a descriptive. It's not a culture, it's not a nation or ethnicity. Don't be fooled. Nowadays, we got a lot of English words that have been taken out of context, like the word nice. The word nice is an insult. The origin of the word nice is an insult. But now, the context has changed. They changed the context. Now it means something positive. Just like the context, this descriptive back in the 1800s is now changed into an actual so-called ethnicity. People think it is, and therefore it became that. But we know that it was coined by Jesse Jackson in the 1980s. In the 1980s, he popularized it as an alternative to the word black, and that's another word we could get into in another video. So this is a misnomer. It's a descriptive back in these days, and people now think it's a culture. They think it's an ethnicity. Bunch of bullshit. All it takes is common sense, critical thinking. All right, now, I'm going to go to the Wisconsin Historical Society. Studio portrait of Ho-Chunk group. Now, notice anything odd in this picture? These look like so-called Native Americans, and this looks like a so-called African American, right? Let's take a closer look. See that? Okay. But guess what? This young man is considered a Ho-Chunk. 2 Ho-Chunk men and a young. See? Now we go down to the subject, and we don't see the word African American anywhere. We see Ho-Chunk Indians, right? Now, go to another image. Same archive, Wisconsin Historical Society. Portrait of Carrie Elk and Annie Lowe. That's Annie. This is Carrie. They're cousins. Take a closer look. Annie, Carrie Elk. 2 beautiful young ladies, right? They're cousins. But in the descriptive, it says Carrie Elk is of a mixed African American and Ho-Chunk heritage. See this? African American and Ho-Chunk? That makes no sense because the African part is null and void and the American part is Ho-Chunk, right? So that means that African American, that word doesn't even need to be there. Why is that word there? You want me to tell you? Because this whole article was revamped in 2011. Back in 2011, most likely, Carrie Elk was not even considered an African American. Just like the last image that we saw of the young man. Because now when we see subjects on this image, we see the word African Americans just pop up out of nowhere. But then we see Ho-Chunk Indians, right? That's the only word right here that's the difference. And that's because of this information was revamped in 2011, right? Let's explore this a little bit deeper. Side by side image. This is that same young man with the pipe in his mouth, considered a whole chunk Indian. This is Carrie Elk, considered a mixed African American whole chunk Indian. Same skin tone, same eyes, same nose, same lips, same chin. But she's classified as an African American all of the sudden. Right? Look at it. Look at the image closely. Take a few minutes. Okay? Now, we go back. All of a sudden, she's classified as a pure whole chunk. All right? Let's go back. So I showed this image first. That's why I was asking you guys, doesn't something look odd? These guys are classified. Do they have the same phenotype? Do they? All right. But he's classified as a whole chunk. He's not classified as an African American whole chunk. This is the Africanization of the original people of the Americas. What I'm thinking is that the original whole chunk Indians look like these two. And then the pale Eurasians mixed in. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.